Good evening and welcome to Savage Universe. I'm J-M, and with me tonight is somebody who's normally on the other side. They're typing furiously into the keyboard. Tonight with me is JohnDoom. JohnDoom, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Glad to be on this side of the camera, not just typing at everyone, trying to break while they're on screen.
Oh yeah, no, that's usually what happens. Although I think the story I shared before I hit the go live button would have worked to make you break on screen. I'm a little disappointed that I don't have a matching background.
Oh, I'll fix that on my end.
No. We got to plug your product. So you're here tonight because you have some stuff we all get. I mean, some Savage World Adventuring Guild material, and
That's
I
right.
am proud to talk about the Jungle Petrospheres with you. I'll show off the sweet cover. You want to tell us about this? First of the Adventures of Doom.
Sure. So, as with most things, it started with me thinking about my family and stuff we've done. So my parents went on vacation to Costa Rica, and they visited this place called the Beatles Bar, and that's cool in and of itself. Has nothing to do with this, but I'm a curious guy, so I looked up what's cool about Costa Rica while they're down there, and I learned that there are, in fact, over 300 these giant stone megalithic spheres called bolas de pedra all over. And again, that was the last time I'm going to try doing a Spanish accent or on the word. So all over the Isla del Cano and Bequeez Delta areas in Costa Rica.
I thought you were going to say that your parents took a Zeppelin.
And they did, actually. That was the biggest part of it.
Fantastic.
Yeah. It was the last one in service. Obviously they don't fly those anymore, so it's good times. And I thought, after seeing that, man, a pulp adventure with that kind of thing would just be awesome. It'd be great. So
here we are.
Yeah, right. Knowing nothing about pulp adventure really, except for I watched I've read all of Remo Williams, which is pulp-esque, but with the pulp yet superhuman. Right. So I contacted one of my good friends who's Mason Emerson. He runs the Ace Role Playing Club YouTube channel. He's the one with all the dad jokes and then talks about Savage Worlds.
Yeah.
And by the way, so check out what he's doing with that club. It's pretty cool. He's basically created an organization to help at-risk teens bond and create lifelong friendships to help them get out of ideations and tendencies that could help, through tough times. Anyway, yeah, he's a huge fan of pulp action. So I'm like, hey, what should I read? What should I look at? What should I watch? And he's like, okay, here you go. Starting from the top, Doc Savage.
Yep.
Start there. I'm like, yeah, of course. I'm already on that. We're good. Anything by Dashiell Hammett or Raymond Chandler, get into that. And he's like, and of course, any of the 3 Indiana Jones films that are in existence.
It's good that they stopped after 3.
Right. I mean, imagine it would have gotten bad if they had
downhill. Did you do The Shadow and The Phantom?
Right. Yeah.
Billy Zane in a unitard. Come on.
Yeah, Billy Zane is quite a unit. So having gotten enough homework as to what a good idea of fast, furious, fun pulp action might be, then I started to put together the Jungle Petrospheres, which is a story of a group of adventurers basically they are guardians of antiquities. So they go around the world preventing antiquities from being stolen by whatever the bad guy du jour is. And in this case, I created a fictional European nation called Oberon, so as to not overplay what is already usually used as our European bad guys.
Right. And I'm assuming that Oberon is right next to Latveria and...
Right. Exactly correct. Yeah. It's in that same region.
Yeah.
Of the current globe that exists.
That's right.
So, created an adventure for that. Had a couple pre-gen characters that I put in it that I hand drew, and that's one of the fun things that you can do too. Is you can really get into procrastinating on your work by saying, "Hey, I need to make another art order," instead of writing words down that will actually get this out the door. And then, you do one, you're like, well, I need 5 more now.
Of course.
Can't just have one character, and I have to make 5 pictures. I'm like, well, now with 5 pictures of characters, it would look stupid if I didn't have battle maps, and now it looks stupid if I didn't have page images. So, it's so good. The July release came out in September. We're still happy about that.
It happened this year.
Right. Still in 20, which is the
Yeah,
second.
and the same quarter. Like that's
Which is why the last day of September is when it came out, is because I'm like, I need to get it done within this quarter, or else I failed myself in this fake goal that I've made.
well, I love the cover. I mean, I got to read through this one. I do love me some pulp adventure. It made me really think of the Nile Empire from Torg,
Mhm.
kind of the two-fisted sort of let's get out there and stop. Hey, look, it's JohnDoom. I feel like we should get that on a T-shirt for Gamehole Con. Hey, look, it's JohnDoom. Tilde Landauer. But the cover is great because it feels like an old pulp magazine.
Right, which is actually where I got a lot of the idea and inspiration from it. So I went out and I started looking at public domain old magazine covers, and I found one that had a blimp on it, and it was like Air Adventures, 1931. I was like, okay, that's awesome. Let's go ahead and do that. So that's part of the image too. I keep doing that right there. That
Here, I'll use my mouse. See it right
there you
there.
go. Your cursor's just moving right around it.
That's right.
And so I was like, okay, let's cut that out. Let's get rid of all the words that were covering it and get some fun colors on there. And then I put the aeroplane. Going to do it right this time? Yes,
you did.
Get the aeroplane on there, which in the adventure is called the Deluxe.
I really want to make a Three Amigos joke, but I won't.
You're the better man for it. I almost did myself. And so again, the art was another thing where I wanted to kind of give a real feel for, that style, that magazine cover or comic book style. So I did the same kind of like bar layout that they did then. Big titles, weird font, 8 whole pages of thrills, which honestly that's 8 pages of adventure. And it's like 14 if you include the characters and the maps and stuff like that. But that doesn't count.
So, I mean, it's $5. It's a great deal. It's a great adventure. I'm really glad and excited. I mean, you've had a couple of other swag. We've had you on here before.
Right.
Although I do think your first Savage Universes were standing in for me while I was.
Well, you had the embuggerance going on.
That's right. Oh man, what a great Ratchetism.
Yeah. And that's true. I had Seventh Kind that came out during,
which was the alien abduction adventure, which was great. And then you did your April Fools, the dastardly hindrances of JohnDoom, which I know is not what it's titled, but it should be.
Well, it might have to be retitled at some point, but Terrible Hindrances did come out, which was offered for $0.25.
And someday soon you'll get to buy a coffee off of Terrible Hindrances.
That's with another 300 sales, I might be able to afford a Starbucks. That's true. That was a great time, and it was fun, and it kind of gets you addicted into, like publishing for swag stuff.
Yeah. My son and so I did the Savage Worlds Club at his school last year. Mm-hmm. And even though Zane is doing something else, everybody who played in the Savage Worlds Club wants it to happen again. And he and one of his friends, they're actually writing an adventure that they want me to help get up on the swag. So we'll see if we can keep them hooked.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things that they don't tell you is that you definitely want to play test before you release stuff. So on this, and of course, Seventh Kind, I did plenty of that. And so the other thing the second thing they don't tell you. Okay, so there's 2 things. There's 2 things they don't tell you. And that's you really should have someone edit your stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So like when I released Seventh Kind, I put it out there. I'm like, man, I read this 400 times. I've play tested it. This is amazing. And like 10 minutes later, I get this DM from Jetty, who is famous for City Guard Chronicles and Magic. And he's like, hey, love the product. Would you mind if I send you a small list of edits? I'm like, yeah, sure. I'll take tons of notes. Yeah. So like 30 seconds after that, he sends me back like a PDF copy of my PDF, but like every line is crossed out in red. And like, I feel like I'm back in high school with like a teacher who really hates my guts and like just everything is marked up. And, and he was nice though. It wasn't like he was mean about it. He didn't go like, hey, did you even read the style guide? Did you know they have one? Here's a copy of the style guide in case you ever wanted to look at it, maybe. So this time I reached out to our mutual friend, Brian McCabe, and I'm like, hey, you're a newspaper aficionado guy. Like you've done publishing in your life. Can you give it a glance beforehand? And he found a lot of things.
Yeah. I mean, Brian's great for that.
I have improved. I didn't have as many things as I did the first time, but that was the important part is getting that edited. And then of course, like I said, I kept on putting off publishing it, making art.
I've gone back and I found errors in Jackals. I found errors in like other published adventures that I've written. It's not just the swag thing. You read something often enough and you have somebody going through a large enough chunk of text, there will be missteps. And the goal is to keep those missteps, keep shrinking them. Don't make the same mistakes.
Right. Learn from the mistakes, make them fewer. And yeah, there you go.
Style guide right there.
Important. Look that up. Keep that open while you do stuff.
Yeah, it's great.
So I hit publish on this one, on the Jungle Petrospheres, which was named because the other name wasn't. I mean, it's close, right? It's Stone Spheres as opposed to anyway.
Yeah.
You see where we could go with that, and it would go wrong real quick.
Yeah, Stone Ball's just.
It doesn't have the same ring to it.
Doesn't roll off the tongue, as it were.
Well, one would hope not. So I hit publish on this one. And Chris Valentine reaches out to me like 30 seconds later. He's like, oh man, I love the product. I'm like, oh no. Mind if I send
Why does everyone start with that? Anytime you send me something from now on, I'm going to be like, JohnDoom, first off, let me just say, love the product. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Yeah. I mean, that's why but this time it was like nothing with the edit itself. He's like, hey, some formatting things, some layout stuff. Here's the way to fix that. I'm like, okay, thanks. That's more stuff that I learned this time. So, having a stable of people that are like, this community is so willing to just leap out and help.
It really is.
And so,
all right. So before we go on to the next thing, so many of you may have heard me mention JohnDoom is our GM every Friday night for our Savage Pathfinder Rise of the Runelords campaign. Now, I mean, you really have given me a hand in that game. Kind of given me, an arm up, so to speak. It is true. He does try to kill my character. Most Fridays, but so having sat down and run this for a while, anything new about Savage Worlds kind of stand out to you? Things that you're like, oh, want to incorporate this in my adventure? This is a rule I definitely want to get in. How does disarming characters work? Things like that.
Right. I mean, but when you're down, I do try to give you a hand. I try to, to reach out with an arm in friendship. And
yeah. Tink definitely gave me a hand as well.
And I feel like, okay, so the backstory, like literally it's an inside joke between four of us on the stream. So Tink is playing a witch with, I would say, like a reasonable parry for a witch, which is like 2. And again, the toughness of like 5. Walks into this room again, like she is pathfinding. She's blazing forward without regard for her own safety. Fails a check on seeing if there is a trap in the room. Critically fails it, in fact. And then I have the other people roll, of course, and they're like, oh, some succeed, some not. Okay, let's do the evasion roll. Just give it to her so she has a chance to get out of the way. Critically fails that too. So 2 crit fails in a row. I'm like, well, you have channeled Jody into this game. Thank you, Miss Black, for everything that you do for us in this community. And Tink, I think what happens is the blade that comes at you chops off your arm.
Well, I mean, isn't that the injury she rolled as well?
Yeah, that's what. Oh, yeah. So it ended up being like 40 damage or some nonsense like that.
ridiculous.
Just a ton. And then, of course, we roll the incapacitation table and then the damage table, and she goes like permanent armlessness. So that's where that happens. And of course, your character being morally flexible,
a
sure,
wonderful
yes.
person.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's one description a person would probably not ever say about it, but decided to keep the arm for himself again, and now on your defense, so that it could be reattached later, like with a greater healing.
That was my plan.
And get it on there. So that's what happened there. That's why we keep making hand jokes, people. I'm sorry, it wasn't my fault. It was.
So one of the questions was, which player gives you the most trouble?
Who gives us the most problems in the game?
Yeah.
I mean, so Landauer by far, obviously. He's brilliant and funny, and all of those things. When you have like against a player who's trying to combat the game you're in, comes up with these like brilliant and usually amusing alternative solutions to things. And so I have to like GM my way around those. So that's a big, he's one. And then, everyone kind of plays off each other really well. I think the most problems in the game, though, it's not really problematic. It's just fun. It's fun to be had by everybody.
You are definitely playing your hindrances and not naturally impulsive.
Right. You've earned bennies for that, for sure.
That's right. Ronnie is the problem player in our game.
That's yeah. So I remember our session 0, and I'm telling everybody, okay, one of the things we don't do violence with animals, we don't do violence against children. Just FYI, that's not something my games will have ever.
That's right. I mean, this was a hard line that you wanted to have in the game.
So of course, Ronnie comes in and like, hey,
I think he was late and shows up with his character.
Right. My character is an 8-year-old kid who throws Pokeballs. I'm a.
So we have violence against both of them. John,
great.
Yeah. So we have another question before we get to that spoiler that I just shared.
Mm-hmm.
Knights of the Smith Dinner Table want to know, when are you going to show up and run Hit Me with your one shot on their channel?
Yes. Obviously, him and I have been in discussion about this. GM James and I have been in close talks to figure out a time that works for both of us. This is not the first time I'm hearing of it right now at this exact second.
No. He would definitely not put you on the spot in front of all of the Savage universe.
Right. Would never do that. So this was a thing that we have been planning, and obviously will come when it does.
You heard it here, folks. It's going to happen nigh immediately.
Right.
Which, in case you were wondering, that is the same level of invulnerability that the Tick has. He is nigh invulnerable.
Also correct. That's the only thing I thought when you said nigh immediately.
Thank you. It's the Rookcat, the John Hive Mind that he always spoke of.
And he was correct.
He was correct.
Yes, we do have that.
I've always said that every house needs a couple of Johns in order for it to be a home. So,
I mean, that's legal. You legally need to have
that's right. I know. I mean, otherwise, it's not considered a house. So I've just put a link to JohnDoom's Petrospheres in the chat. Go check it out. Again, it is on Drive-Thru RPG as part of the swag program for $5. But wait, there's more.
That's right.
Because you're working on issue 2.
That's right. So like I said, once you start this kind of thing, the ideas just start flowing. It's like the Pulp Adventures, the Doc Savage stuff. There's one book and then there's 300 more. Mm-hmm. And the plots are vastly different, obviously. But they're fun nevertheless, right?
That's right.
So this one is, beneath the the ancient Sphinx of Giza lies a rediscovered hidden power. And the secret's
Is it
already...
aliens? Does it tie into Seventh Kind?
Not directly. I'm sure that, given 50 years of time or whatever, it might happen to do that. But so it's one of those things. It's like inside there's a secret that gets discovered or rediscovered. The Oberinians are now coveting this secret.
Of course
So
they
the
are.
Guardians of Antiquity, being the daring group of adventurers they are, have to race against time to uncover and protect what is the heart of the Sphinx.
Hell yeah. And this one releases this weekend?
Yeah, that's right. This weekend or
again,
sometime...
we talked about this in advance. This is not me putting JohnDoom on the spot. When does the Heart of the Sphinx ETA? Is it
as soon as it's ready? I promise.
All right.
The
but when will
it's
then
ready.
be now?
Soon.
Have a penny for Friday.
Thank you. I'll use that against you.
That's fair.
Yeah. So that's what's coming next. Principal writing is well underway. I'm really enjoying it too. The story's going pretty well and fast. It's finding things I want to cut out of it at this point because, I want to keep these things like a 4-hour one-shot session. Running any longer than that, then you start to get exactly correct. Then you start to run into like, hey, this is a 2-shot game or a 3-shot game, which is fun for sure. But you can't just
not the focus. Yeah.
Right. These are ones that you can just like open up and bring to a con. I put all the maps in that you'll need for them, that kind of stuff. So I want to make sure anyone who wants to run these can just get in there and run them. It'll have the same characters at the end that you can play again, possibly with a couple advances this time since they have moved on in the world by a few months.
Ted, I recognize that plane too.
Yes. It's an old Douglas aircraft.
It's the same plane. Peter said that he just read Seventh Kind and thought it was very cool. Very much his type of self-contained one-shot. Awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate hearing that.
So I assume that it's not just going to be a 2-issue run, but we may get issue 3 and 4 and 5 down the road.
Yeah. So as ideas happen, I have written them down in my big old notes of notebooking for those. And there's a couple more that have happened. There's so much stuff that exists out in this world. For example, there's a YouTube channel called the Why Files, which I know that I think your wife is familiar with. Someone's familiar with it. And they always have these crazy stories. And one involves like ancient aliens and I guess Egyptian type themes in the Grand Canyon.
Interesting.
So that might be something that comes out for this one. And I think what's fun about that adventure as it percolates in my head is that the Oberinians are not the bad guys in it. It might be the Smithsonian.
Dun, dun, dun. I don't have a stinger to play, so I'll just...
Yeah, that's okay. You did good. That was exactly what I was hoping for.
So once again, here is the link to the Jungle Petrospheres. I mean...
Man, look at Christian Serrano two's in this. Hey, Christian.
I know.
Is he coming to a Gamehole Con? Are you going to Gamehole Con, right?
Yeah, so I was going to say, there's no Savage Universe next week because I will be at Gamehole Con. Landauer will be at Gamehole Con. Carl Kiesler will be at Gamehole Con, and I get to play in his game. He's doing the Three Amigos plus Blazing Saddles, and I can't wait to play in that one.
Mm-hmm. Chris Valentine will be there.
Yep. Christian's going to be there, and Knights of the Smith Dinner Table will be there.
James will be there. Yep.
I know,
Chris Hussey, who does the unboxing videos with the Barry White voice, the ones that make me feel comfortable, will be there.
I passed. I could. Paul of Street Wolves is going to be there. Driving. I don't remember where I was driving, but there's this giant building, and if I ever happen to pass it again, I will take a picture of it that just says, Huseman on the side, and I'm like, does he have is that where he films his YouTube stuff? Because that's amazing.
So I was there last year. I'm not going this year, unfortunately, but I ran
next
into
year.
Ed Greenwood.
Yeah, that's probably why you're not allowed back, because once you're
Yeah.
a celebrity.
And then I ran into Keith Baker as well. And I was like, Emilio, but it was actually like, Keith, I love Eberron. He's like, oh man, thanks. I have to go to a panel. And I'm like, no, please.
I think I witnessed that, didn't I?
Yeah,
Did that happen like right in front of the
Yes,
Doomguard table?
Because that was all I had scripted in my head. And any further conversation is just making this more awkward. So can you please leave? Yes, it is you, Alan. You are the Barry White voice for those videos.
Oh, you're at the same. Awesome! I can't wait to see your booth there at Gamehole Con, James. So go out and buy Adventures of Doom. They're fantastic.
Please, I would like that very much.
Speaking of Savage University stuff, there's also several Kickstarters going on. Obviously, there's the Pinnacle one for the Abominable Northwest. But there's also, I'm going to put a link for this one in the chat, Starbreakers, Saints and Sinners by Brandon. We had him on, was it last week? I think it was last week. So go out and check out all of the cool stuff that's going on in the Savage universe. John Doom, any final thoughts before we put this episode to bed?
No, I mean, get out there and get some Starbreaker for yourselves. That Kickstarter is going on. Buy some Holler to help out with the hurricane relief stuff. I mean,
yes,
all of these things are important. Pinnacle does such a good job with community outreach and making sure that, you know,
they're taking care. Outreach or outrage?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure did. Outreach and just man, do your line. I love your line. I can't wait to hear your line.
Oh, my end line?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I know.
Well,
I'll get to here. Oh, there we go.
That's right. All right. He's doing the thing. So go out there and play some Savage Worlds. Everyone, we'll see you in 2 weeks. We'll have the Battle Lord guys back on. And until next time, may all your dice ace. Have a good one, everyone.